Hello and welcome to the Whisky.com news on the 30th of October 2019. And this week we have a very many news, and just excuse me for a little peeking here and over there because they're just that many. Most of them are new bottles that are distributed. So first up we have Bruichladdich, who are announcing a new bottling. It's not this one, it's the Octomore 9.3. And the Octomore 9.3 is a bit slightly less peaty, and for an Octomore, slightly less peaty means 133 ppm, so it's still very, very heavily peated. And this time we have a theme that is going from the growth to the bottling, and it's still 100% Islay. And what they want to do with this growth to bottling is they want to be really transparent. So this time they gave us the ingredients, and I'm gonna read them because I can't remember them. First fill American oak 25%, third fill virgin oak 25%, second fill Revisaltis 20%, second fill Shiraz 20%, and second fill Bourbon 10%. Again, it's a cask strength, 62.9% ABV, and it's gonna be a really, really nice one. So watch out for the new Octomore 9.3. Next up is Mortlach. Mortlach is announcing something. Mortlach's announcing the 12, 16, and 20-year-old malt. They're all 43.4% ABV, and depending on where you live, they will be released at different times, but here in Germany we will get them about mid-November, so around the world it will be probably the same time. And then we have some news from Glenfiddich, and they have two new malts. The first one is the Fire and Cane. It's a lightly peated malt with ex-bourbon casks and finished for 3 to 4 months in rum casks. 43% ABV, so it's going to be something different this time. If you watch this channel closely, I had an interview with Glenfiddich, and there we already announced the Fire and Cane, and I think we already had them on the news as well, and now it's out. The second one in the pair is the Glenfiddich 30-year-old European Oloroso sherry casks and ex-bourbon casks, 43% ABV. Sounds also like a really nice whiskey. You can't really go wrong with 30 years of age. Then we have something different. No new bottles, but Glen Scotia is doing something. Glen Scotia is adopting 100,000 bees. Yeah, so 100,000 bees sounds really much, but it's I think 2 or 3 beehives they will have probably. And as bees are really a very big part of our environment, and they are a bit endangered in some places, so that's why Glen Scotia is contributing to saving the bees and actually giving them home within the distillery. I hope they like the fumes. And the cool thing about that is during spring 2019 you can actually buy some honey at the distillery, but I think you have to be really quick because 100,000 bees don't produce that much honey as the distillery is producing whiskey. So yeah. Next up, the Glengoyne is doing another art bottling together with Octomore. This time the topic is spring. They're gonna do a really nice motive for the Glengoyne 10-year-old. And we don't know when the bottling will come out, but as the topic will be spring, I'm gonna guess spring 2019. Yeah. Then we have North British. North British is bringing out their first commercial bottling, and it's gonna be a really old one. They're gonna release a 58-year-old single grain whiskey. It's gonna have 222 bottles in a limited single cask bottling with 51.6% ABV, and we're not quite sure when it's being released and where, but it's being announced that it's gonna be somewhere around in November. Yeah. Next up is the Glengoyne, and they're doing something really cool. Is they are giving out 51-year-old whiskey. Really nice. This is the oldest whiskey the distillery is actually giving out, and it's 51 bottles of the 51-year-old whiskey. And if you want to have some of the whiskey, you can actually get a whiskey tasting at Craigellachie.com. It will be in their core markets: Great Britain, South Africa, Australia, and the United States. So if you want to have one of them, go to Craigellachie.com and register there. Maybe you will be one of the lucky ones who get a tasting. Yeah, so much for Scotland, a lot of news, and we continue with Ireland. The Brown-Forman Company from Louisville, Kentucky, actually is erecting a distillery, the Slane distillery, and the Slane brand is actually releasing a whiskey, the Slane Triple Cask Irish Whiskey. And it's going to be a blend between virgin oak casks, sherry casks, and some other seasoned casks. And yeah, therefore it's going to be their first bottling of the brand, but as the distillery is still under construction or not ready yet, it's definitely not from the distillery yet. So have a look. It's going to be probably the character will probably be very similar to what we can expect in the future. Then we move over the pond and we go to America. We have a new Bulleit Bourbon Tattoo Limited Edition. The Tattoo Limited Edition is part of the ink project, and there will be some tattoo art on the bottle, similar to other distilleries who have already done tattoo bottles. And I don't know when it will be released internationally, but here in Germany we will get it in November. So maybe 1 month earlier, 1 month later, you will get it in the international markets as well. Then we have a Tennessee exclusive news, because Jack Daniel's is actually branching a bit out. The distiller, the Brown-Forman Company, found out a lot of people like craft distilleries and like the variation. So Jack Daniel's is branching out a bit, and they're gonna do more craft distillery style whiskey. They're doing different tasting sets, different styles, and you can actually only buy that stuff in Tennessee. It's going to be 24,000 pieces, and it's going to be in small 375 milliliters bottles. That's half of a 0.7 liter bottle. Then we have the Armorik 10. The Armorik distillery, I think it's Waringham or some other name, in the Bretagne in France. And they are celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they're celebrating that with a 10-year-old bottle. 46% ABV, ex-bourbon casks and Oloroso sherry casks are but limited to 2,000 bottles. So congratulations to them. Have another 20 great years in front of you. And the last one is a news from India. Yes, we do get some news from India as well. The Amrut distillery is actually releasing their first Madeira cask finish, and it's the first Madeira cask finish whiskey from India. 50% ABV, so quite strong, with 4,800 bottles. It's a good one, because I know, Amrut is pretty good distillery. If you can get your hands on one of them, it's worth it. Thank you very much for watching. If you found this video interesting, then please feel free to give us a thumbs up, and see you next time.